welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing great. Happy first day of spring. Today's the first day of spring that I'm recording this. If you guys are new here, my name is Stephanie, and today it's going to be another Q&A. I put a post on my community page that I'm filming a Q&A, so if you guys have any questions for me, please send them on in. And you guys had lots of great questions, so without further ado, let's get into it. How would you approach your manager about a promotion or title change? Okay, I would break this up into two parts. Thinking about my experience is more, not so much in UX because I've been at my job less than a year, so I haven't been in this position in the UX field, but I have done this before. And when it comes to, advocating for yourself in this case, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, but I think the best plan of attack is to come with a list. First of all, schedule a meeting with your manager. Come with a list of your accomplishments, your achievements, whether it's positive feedback from colleagues or clients, and then have a list of those, but then also have a list of your career goals and how maybe those two can walk and talk together, and make sure you have specific examples. So when you go in there and you're like, hey boss, I want a raise, I want a promotion, these are the things I've accomplished, these are how they tie into my career goals, how can we make this work? And then I would also say, when it comes to not even just promotion, but also like title change, and I'm guessing by promotion you're meaning you're going to be promoted to a higher level that's going to have a different title change. I would make sure if there's any documentation or anything like that, you understand like how your company does promotions, how they do title changes. And if there is a process, maybe you can look at that process and be like, okay, I've checked off this. I say all that to say, really come in with your resources and have everything written down that you've accomplished, that you've successfully designed, that you've successfully brought to market. You just want to list all your achievements, because your boss probably knows that you're doing a great job, but it's different when you see something like literally broken down that they can't, argue with. So that's how I would handle that. What do you think is a reasonable timeline for someone new to UX to gain the skills and find employment? What else can they or should they be doing in the meantime to help them? Okay, so reasonable timeline. That's a tough one. I would say to gain the skills, like learn UX, I would say anywhere from 6 months to a year max. I would say, I don't want to say max, everybody's timeline is different, but you asked me my opinion, so my opinion is 6 months to a year. And then I would say to find employment, okay, let's say after your year ended, I would say in our current tech winter, I would say it's looking closer to 6 months plus to find a job. Previous years ago, maybe it was closer to like 2 to 3 months. But that's what I would kind of say in terms of timeline. 6 to a year for learning UX, and then probably another 6 or more to get the job. So, and that's something that I've mentioned in other videos about. One of my only regrets, so to speak, is not starting soon enough, because you see that this can be a really long process, and the longer that you wait and you're kind of humming and hawing about it, things are gonna keep getting longer or passing you by. So if you're interested at all, just take the leap. The second part of that question was, what can you do in the meantime that can maybe help? And I mentioned this in some other video, I don't know which one. If I find it, I will put it in the cards, where I would recommend keep designing, because once you're done with your boot camp, you're just completely in the job hunting stage. And as I mentioned before, the job hunting stage is filling out applications, talking on the phone, reviewing your portfolio. There's not a whole lot of maybe new design work happening. So I would try to keep designing as much as you can. And I think I recommended, if you have a family friend that has, if you have a family member or a friend that has an Etsy shop or a small business or something like that, anywhere that you can, use your UX skills for somebody, do that. Even if it's unpaid, it probably is, you're just helping out a friend. It's gonna help you keep practicing that muscle. And I think that's gonna be really important. I would also if you wanna keep working on your Figma skills, that's definitely something that I would totally recommend. Maybe take some free Figma courses, look at some tutorial videos, anything that you can really do. Look at your skills list on your resume. Are you practicing those things currently while you're looking for a job? Because you don't want to finally get a job and it's been 6 to 8 months and you haven't been in Figma. You know what I mean? So you want to keep it you want to keep it as fresh, as fresh as possible. What does your process for building design systems look like? And there was another question about design systems, and before I answer that, I just want to give you guys who don't know the definition, and I'll give you the official definition because I don't want to lead anybody astray here. Okay, so design system is a set of guidelines, principles, and components that are used to create consistent, user-centered designs across a range of platforms and applications. So they gather things typically like typography, color palettes, iconography, visual elements, and the guidelines on how to use this. And the reason that you do that is to ensure that all your designs are consistent and accessible and easy to use for the designers as well as the developers. And I have never built a design system. I am fortunate to be at a company where I am one of, I don't know, 8 or 9 designers. We have a design manager, and it's a company that's been around for a good long while. So all of this stuff has already been built. It's mainly me using the design system and making sure I understand like how different components work, how to, make the changes that I need to without, breaking the initial instance. So things like that. So I can't really speak to this. I haven't built a design system. I wonder if that's more common in places where you're the sole designer, and if it's a startup, if it's a new company. So I can't really speak to that, but from what I have learned about design systems, obviously like the research and analysis of what you're creating for what company. It's, in this case, it's probably the company that you work for. There's the actual like designing of all of the elements. That can include like a style guide that outlines the font sizes, the color styles, all of that, the actually building of that. Then you create the components from there, you test and refine. So it's almost similar to like any typical UX design process. So I would think of it as that. Follow the UX design process to help you create your design system. Is how did you get into the rhythm and flow of creating interactive components without getting overwhelmed? And this goes back to what I said before. I haven't had to really create my own components. I do have to manipulate them a lot depending on what I'm using them for. When it comes to that, components can be so frustrating when they don't work the way that you want them to. So I would just recommend breaking it down into a small manageable task. Like, okay, I'm working with this drop down component and I need it to, as you select it, it needs to highlight as you go. So that's the only piece I'm working on. And then you kind of have to pull and push and tweak a little bit. It's typically how I go about it. And then I also watch tons of Figma tutorial videos because people really got it locked down. So whatever you're dealing with in Figma, I'm sure somebody else, 10 other people have had that same problem, and there's more likely a solution out there. So yeah, I just really rely on my resources to kind of help me out of that. And don't get too overwhelmed. Like, you can always break down the tasks to be a little bit more bite-sized and more manageable, and you're not going to break it. You can always go back and fix things. So don't let it overwhelm you too much. What are some of the most important things a designer should focus on doing and accomplishing in the first 30, 60, and 90 days? I'm guessing that's probably relating to when you're starting a new job. I would say the first 30 days, you want to learn as much about this company as possible. Let's say you work for Hopper. If I was starting my first 30 days at Hopper, I would try to learn everything I can about this company. So, and specifically how it relates to design. So I want to learn who are the customers, what is the customer base, what is the target market that we're going for, what is our design system looking like, who are we usually researching or reaching out to for interviews, anything like that. You just want to be a sponge. You just really want to absorb as much as you can those first 30 days because everybody knows that you're new and you're going to get hit with a lot of information. But first 30 days, just focus on like absorbing everything that you can. Okay, so by the 60-day mark, I would say that's probably when you are starting on your own projects. You already have projects that you've been assigned to, and you can start to kind of take ownership over certain details or certain elements and really start to kind of get your feet wet, I would say. So that can be collaborating with other designers, with the developers, presenting to stakeholders. And guys, when I say presenting, I don't mean like a full scale Steve Jobs Apple presentation. Like, it's usually, hey, here's where I'm at, guys. This is what I've been up to. So it's more like that than like a full scale presentation. But you could be prototyping, you'd be doing your wireframes at this point. You are getting into the trenches of actual designing. By the 90-day point, I would say you're probably starting to kind of feel a little bit more integrated into the team. You're still obviously new and you're still obviously learning, but maybe you've got like one project underneath your belt. You are, you know, contributing more in meetings. You are being able to, you know, facilitate conversations, get the information that you need. So that's kind of, and I'm just kind of going off my own experience of my 30, 60, 90. And obviously this can kind of fluctuate for everybody, but that's kind of where you should be at roughly. But everybody's pace is a little bit different, a little bit faster, a little bit slower, but that's kind of where I'd recommend you're at. You're still new though, so don't feel like you have to just do it all at once, because all this stuff takes time. What's the best way to navigate and learn about your team, the design system, and how you fit overall into the team structure? The best way to learn about the team is to honestly just be a part of the team. When I started, I had like one-on-one sit downs with every person on the design team, and that was mainly to like get to understand like what part did they work on, what part of the product did they work on, but then it was also kind of just to get to know them as people, because once you're on the design team, you're on the design team. So you're gonna be with these people a lot, you're gonna be working together a lot. So you also just wanna like get to know them on a personal level as well. So half personal, half professional, I would say, is kind of how I would go about trying to just get to know the design team. Like I mentioned before about the design system, just try to review any documentation there is about the design system, see what it looks like, how it works, who is involved in keeping it up. Try to understand that kind of baseline of the design system. When it comes to fitting into the whole team structure, again, it really depends on the size of your team, but if there's anything, any like team events, if there's anything like that, go to everything. If it's professional, if it's personal, if it's like a little lunch and learns, if it's a seminar, if it's a webinar, if it's a happy hour after work, go to as many things as possible, because the more exposure you have to these like new people and this new company, the less like anxious you'll feel about it. At least that's how I kind of went about it. And it's somewhat advice that, this is taking me back off topic, but this is advice that I got, I remember my freshman year of college, and I didn't follow it. The advice was go to everything, don't say no. Do your Shonda Rhimes year of yes. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. Go to as many things as possible, because the more exposure, like I said, the less you'll feel anxious about the team and fitting into the team, because you'll be kind of around them a lot. Like I go into the office one day a week, and I really only go into the office just to kind of socialize with other designers. I'm way more productive at home, productive-ish at work, but it's just nice to kind of see people in person and just to kind of catch up on their week. And so those are the kind of things that really help, especially when you work from home, really help you feel like you're part of a company culture. Next question is, and I've gotten this, guys, a couple of times and I don't know what to do. It is, would you be willing to be a mentor or do mock interviews or anything like that in the future? I would love to, guys, I would love to. I just don't know how to structure it. If anybody's got ideas, drop them down below. I don't know if I'd be necessarily so great at a mock interview, but I would love to help you guys and look at your portfolios and your projects or anything like that. Do I set up a Calendly and you guys sign up for time? I don't want to charge you guys, but then it's also like my time spent. I don't know, guys. It's not a no, but it's not a yes either. So TBD, I'm kind of coming up with this on the fly, but if there's anybody that wants to send me a case study of one project that they're doing and they want me to review with their permission, and I can like blur out your name and all that, review it on one of my videos, I would do that. I would happily do that. Maybe it'll be a series. I do want to help you guys as much as I can. I know these videos help too, but if I can even take that a step further, I would be happy to do so. That's the call out. That's what's going to happen. My business email is down in the description box. So if you feel comfortable with that and you want to make that happen, let's chat about it. Okay, guys, that was the last question. Thank you guys again. And thank you so much to everybody that submitted a question. You guys asked really good questions. Like I had to be on my P's and Q's because of this. But again, thank you so much for all your great questions. Please keep on sending them. I like to do these Q&As pretty regularly because you guys are always asking good questions and I like to just kind of give you guys my point of view. Yeah, so keep sending in the questions. Reach out to me via my business email if you want to put your portfolio, your case study out to the world. I'm not gonna put you on blast. I'll be very kind. I'll be very, very nice. Don't you worry. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the things. And with that, guys, I will see you in the next one.